Hey, this is the Billion Bet Podcast, and today we got Steven McCombs on. Steven, thanks for coming in today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm good, man. Just been a busy day today, just getting back from our trip to California and just catching up with work. It's been a tough day.
What were you doing in California?
Just visiting some friends, networking and stuff out there.
Okay. So, for those who don't know, Steven originated in Mexico. He came to the United States with little to no money. He then started his own insurance agency and then worked into Airbnb, correct?
Yep, exactly. So yeah, I basically came to the United States, $1,000 in my pocket and just worked my ass off pretty much. Just really, I did anything I could find. Really, I started doing pest control sales, so that's how I got into the actual sales of stuff. So I started going door to door, knocking on doors, selling pest control, and then kind of went from there into the insurance world.
What got you motivated to sell insurance?
Um, after I got done with the pest control position, I was in California and I had no clue what I was going to do. I didn't have a secure job. It was mainly just go out there as contractors and sell pest control. And then after the season is done, you kind of have to figure what you do. And most of the people that do that job are college students. So after they're done with the summer, they go back to college and then they go, to school. And I didn't have that option. I didn't go to school, so I was like, I don't know what to do. And so I moved to Salt Lake, and I had a shitty job at a call center, and I just wanted to get back into sales. And luckily, I got into insurance, which was basically a sales position in the agency.
So, you worked in an agency before starting your own agency?
Yeah, that's correct. So I started at an agency. I had a boss and everything, and was working as an employee of this person for about 2 years. And I excelled at my position. I did really good, and the company started looking at me and started to ask me if I was interested in possibly joining the agency force.
Okay.
And I was 21 at the time, so I was probably one of the youngest agents at the time that opened up their own franchise with that company.
Congratulations. That's amazing. And how long do you still have the franchise?
I do have that franchise, yeah.
And how long have you had it now for?
I think it's about 6 years now.
Wow. So, have you been like hands on with the business for all 6 years, or when did you kind of take a role and step back?
So yeah, initially the role was, I mean, it was a 14 to 16-hour job. Like it was basically opening up a franchise was a lot of work. It was a lot of dedication, a lot of money, a lot of failures. It was a lot of up and down. I mean, I was very young. I was 21, didn't have a mentor at the time. I didn't have any clue what I was doing with my life. Uh, Honestly, it was just pure luck, and everything worked perfectly for everything to happen. And it's kind of like it's yes, there's luck into that, but there's also like I was in the right time at the right place in the right moment for them to give me that franchise. And yeah, right now at the moment, I've slowly stepped back a little bit, but I'm still hands on the business.
What's your favorite part about the business?
Um, Honestly, I like the safety net of the business. In the insurance world, you're dealing with a lot of people, so there's a lot of small transactions. So a lot of your customers would have to cancel their policies for you to lose a lot of money, right? So
Okay.
during COVID, we had a lot of people cancel. That was a very scary time when a lot of people couldn't afford their payment, and then they just can't
Yeah.
pay anymore. That becomes very scary. But in general, if there's no pandemic, it's a very secure business because everyone needs insurance.
Most definitely. So, are you offering home, auto, life? What kind of insurance are you offering?
Yeah, exactly. So home, auto, life, health insurance, pretty much any type of insurance that you can think of.
Okay, I see. And when you first started selling these, were your clients nationwide or were they just in Salt Lake?
They're just in Salt Lake. Yeah, so I became one of the top agents in the West Central area once like my first or second year. We were selling a lot. I had a great team in place. They spoke Spanish and English. They were young, they were hungry, so we crushed it for the first 3 years of business. It blew up. But then after that, it kind of like tabletopped, and now it's pretty steady after that. So it's been good. But yeah, most of my clients are from Salt Lake or Utah in general.
Okay. And what percentage of them are Spanish only speaking clients?
A lot. I would say more than 60%. And that is one of the reasons why I was successful was because I spoke Spanish. And so I came into a market that there was a deficit of Spanish speaking agents, and I came in and everyone just flocked to me.
Yeah, it sounds like you killed it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And especially when you're able to kind of secure that niche, that special target market that, you can associate with, you can, get along with.
Yep.
That's really smart.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just the culture thing, you know. I was born and raised in Mexico, and so I understand the culture, and that's one thing that most Latinos, when they're coming into an agency or any type of business, really, that they're buying a service from, they want to have that trust and confidence in that business. And if someone
Yeah,
doesn't speak Spanish, there's a barrier of trust. And so if you speak Spanish, that is a huge upside. And anyone that is trying to learn a language or,
okay.
or thinking of teaching their kids a language, that was one of the things that changed my life completely was knowing Spanish.
I could see that definitely, especially
Yep.
around the Salt Lake City area.
Yep. Well, I mean, most of the United States right now, I think the second largest speaking language is Spanish. And
Yeah,
so I think that it's definitely a big plus, especially if you're in an area that there's a lot of Latinos.
definitely. Definitely. So when you were in Mexico, what, made you decide, hey, maybe I want to come to America? Did you consider other countries?
No. So the reason why I chose America was obviously I'm half American, half Mexican, half American. So for me, it was more like a feeling of home. I understand the culture, I relate to the culture. And so I was born and raised in a very Americanized town in Mexico. So for me, my home was America. And so it was mainly just kind of a tough situation at the time. I was having issues with my family. I was, I think, 18 or 19 years old. And I kind of I had $1,000 in my bank account, and I went to the bank. I took out the money and just left. And so I got to California with nothing in my hands really, and just tried to figure things out. And I think it was more just when you're pushed against the wall with nothing else to lose, there's really nothing to lose, right? So you kind of just have to figure things out. And I feel that people here in the States, they're in such a bubble and they've lived such a comfortable life that it's really hard to get out of your comfort zone because you've been in comfort for all your life.
Yeah,
And so for me, it was easier for me to get out of that comfort zone because I was already outside of it. Like I had to figure things out.
definitely. Definitely. That's very unique.
Yeah.
And why or when did you decide, hey, I'm going to maybe try out this Airbnb?
So the Airbnb arbitrage business came along after a while. I tried different businesses as well. So I had a credit repair business, and that did really well until the interest rates went up, and then we stopped getting leads from mortgage companies, and it just completely just took a nosedive when it came to new customers, and it just slowly phased out.
Okay.
So I realized, I was like, okay, I need to build a business that I don't have to work too hard to get the money for, and then I can make a lot of money from it with being outside of a job, like not having to be there present 100% of the time, every single day, work 14 hours a day. I wanted to find something that I could build up over time and then just travel. And I heard this thing about Airbnb arbitrage. I heard about it on YouTube and Instagram and all this stuff. And I then met up with my current partner at a meeting. He was also a very successful insurance agent, and I met with him, and I just talked to him like, "Hey, I've been thinking about doing this business. Have you seen anything about it?" And we really didn't talk that much at that time. I don't know why I even said that to him. I just felt like we were just connecting. And he
Okay.
said, actually, yeah, I've been thinking about doing that specific business for the past 2 years, and I never have done it because I just don't know if I want to do it or whatever. And I just said, like, well, let's just partner up and try to do it. And then within like 2 days, he called me and he's like, "Hey, are you like legit? You want to do this?" I'm like, "Yeah,
Let's
yeah, let's do it." And so we met
go
up
for
like,
it.
yeah, exactly. We met up like 3 days later after our first meeting, and then purchased a course from a well-known Airbnb arbitrage guy on YouTube. His name is Sean Rakic, and I purchased a course from him, and we just started learning the business, and we got our first unit after like a month or two.
Wow. And at that time, were you cold calling right to the apartment complexes?
Yeah, pretty much. We would just walk up to the apartment complexes, but we got a lot. So we first started reaching out to homeowners because we really didn't want to waste our opportunities with apartment complexes. We didn't really know what we were doing. Again, it was like very new to us. We were like, let's just try it out and see how it goes, and let's just go for it. And
Okay.
that's one thing that I've always done when it comes to business. I'm the one that just like jumps off the cliff and like sees like, okay, we'll see what happens. Which is not always good, but it's always like a good start.
It's one
But
way to
that
start.
exactly, it's one way to start. It's not I'm not because there's the other side where if you overanalyze things, which tends to be something that happens to people, is they overanalyze things and then they never do anything, and they get analysis paralysis, and then they never do anything with their life.
Hmm.
So I'm not that person. I'm the one that literally just jumps off the cliff and tries to figure shit out. And so when we did it, we just literally just called up people on Zillow renting their houses, and we would just say like, "Hey, we're doing this. We're doing we're a corporate housing company. We're interested in renting your property." And we went with our script, and we got tons of no's, tons of no's. We kept meeting with people at the houses, and we kept getting like, once we said what we were doing, a lot of people got turned off with it, and so we're like, okay, let's try something different. After getting like 50 no's, we're like, let's try something different. Let's
Okay.
see how apartment complexes work. Let's try it with apartment complexes. The first apartment complexes we went to literally said yes, and they gave us 2 units, and we're like, okay, this actually works. And that's how we got our first 2 units after like a month of learning the business.
That's incredible.
Yep.
And now are you still just focused on Salt Lake City?
Yeah. So, I mean, we're currently trying to figure out just how everything is moving. Things are a lot different than they were 2 or 3 years ago. Two,
Okay.
3 years ago, you could get 2 units, and they would make you $3,000, $4,000 each in profit a month. So you only needed 3 units, and you're profiting 10K, right?
Yeah.
Things are a little bit different nowadays. Things are one, they're more expensive, so cleaners are more expensive. And then the other thing is that there's less reservations coming in than before. Why? Because now hotels are a big competition. During COVID, a lot of hotels lost a lot of customers because in Airbnbs, it's basically very secluded and you don't have to interact with people, right? So
Ah,
Airbnb just got a boost in people going to Airbnbs. Everyone wanted to go. Everyone flocked to Airbnbs when they still wanted to travel. So everyone flocked to Airbnb, especially people having money. I mean, at the time, people were balling, right? Everyone had money. Everyone had a loan from the government. Everyone had the EIDL money. Everyone had tons of money to spend. So everyone was traveling. And so things are a little bit different now. Now, with all the Airbnb stuff and the complaints and everything that has gone on the media with the cleaning fees and everything, people are like, okay, well, do I want to go to an Airbnb and not be sure what I'm going to get, or go to a hotel and just have the confidence that everything is always the same at hotels, right?
true, true, true.
So that's one thing that you have to put, into perspective. So that's why a lot of the reservations have gone down compared to 2 or 3 years ago. But we're still very profitable. It's just not as profitable as before. And it's an economy of scale. So the more units you get, the more work it's going to be, right? You have to put managers in place, customer service representatives, chatters, people to handle reservations, all cancellations and all these different things. So it really depends on where you want to go with it. But obviously, it does get very hectic once you get over 30 to 35 units.
Okay, fair enough. So where do you see your next, investment ideas? Where's your mind pondered to?
Um, so we are definitely going to keep scaling the business slowly just to kind of see how everything goes. We're definitely, my partner is more analytic than I am. If it were for me, we would have maybe 50 units at the moment, but we would be running around with our heads cut off and we would not know what the hell we're doing with life. So my partner is a little bit more analytic. He kind of looks more at the numbers and we see
Okay.
like, okay, what are we looking at? Is it worth getting more units? What should we do? And so at the moment, what our plan is we are planning to grab all this money that we're profiting and just save it up for buying houses that we own. And now we're making enough money every month that we can save up quite a bit of money in 2, 3 months. And then we could do something like creative finance and own our houses instead of rent them.
That's pretty smart. It's a good
Yep.
idea. Hmm.
So, but I mean, without it, think about that. Like, I get a lot of questions. They're like, well, if you're doing that, then why are you selling an Airbnb arbitrage course? It's like, well, if it weren't because of the Airbnb arbitrage, I wouldn't be able to save $25,000 a month to buy a house,
Exactly.
right? So, and it's not my main thing. I mean, I probably dedicate 3 hours a week to the arbitrage business.
That's
So tell
incredible.
me any business that makes you $25,000 a month with 3 hours a week in within a year and a half of scaling the business. And there's going to be very little businesses that let you do that.
Yeah. That's definitely a pretty good business. Not many are like that.
Yep.
So for like insurance, I guess if that's, your other, but do you have any other businesses other than these two?
No, not at the moment.
Okay. Did you in the past?
Um, I did, but they're smaller projects. One of the businesses that I'm currently looking into and just trying out is the course business, the business in selling courses and mentorships. Just with the knowledge that I already have, I'm like, well, I have an asset that I can sell. Why am I not doing that? And so that's kind of what I'm trying out right now. There's a lot of stuff that I didn't really know, and just kind of the marketing side. It's very expensive to start from zero, especially if like no one knows you or like you're kind of starting off with a new industry. but we're learning it. We're learning it as it goes. And for now, I mean, it's been good, but I definitely think that it's very scalable as well as the Airbnb business.
And you're more than qualified for that. So I could see you, highly succeeding in the course business. Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, you have, the facts to prove it. I guess maybe it's just putting out enough content to reach enough people.
Yeah, yeah. So I've been thinking of different strategies that I'm going to implement. I'm thinking about doing a lot of ads, because sometimes just relying on your own Instagram algorithm isn't gonna do it.
Okay.
And so I've tried it out. I mean, I've been posting probably every 2 days. I've been posting videos every 3 days on my Instagram, and I get good engagement. I get good views. I get good comments. But that doesn't always translate to sales. So I sometimes I've realized that you have to target your audience correctly, and that is done through targeting ads, and so we're going to try that out this month and see how it goes. Um, but that's another business that I'm venturing in that I'm excited of doing.
Congratulations. That will definitely be exciting. I know the course business is, especially in the Airbnb space, it's really, you could learn so much. You could do it
Yeah.
anywhere in the whole world, basically.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've seen people out in Dubai that are currently doing arbitrage in Dubai. That seems very interesting. They say that they're profiting a lot of money. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what they're saying. But yeah, you could do it anywhere. I mean, the model is there. You just have to have enough traffic, and you can do this anywhere with apartments, with houses, with there's even people that are arbitraging hotel rooms. So that seemed
Really?
very interesting. Yeah, yeah. So basically, they cut a deal with the hotel, and they say, "Hey, we'll get you this much um, traffic to your property, and then we'll do the rest." And I thought that was super interesting that there's people partnering up with actual hotels.
Are these mom and pa's or are these chains?
No, it's actually just mom and pop the businesses that could just go to hotels and they're like, "Hey, we want to partner up with you. We want to bring traffic." And then they set it like a rent for the room and then they profit the difference.
Interesting. That's
Yeah.
uh that's pretty genius, honestly, because there's a lot of hotels.
Yeah, well, think about it. I mean, there's probably hotels that most of the hotels aren't on Airbnb. So if you think about it, they're like, okay, well, at least we'll get our occupancy levels up. And if you really think about it, hotels are run a lot differently than Airbnbs. A lot of people like to compare them, but they're similar in some ways, but they're different in others.
How are they different?
One So one big difference is their cleaning. So the reason why you get a cleaner to come knock on your door at 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. every single day, even though you're not going to check out, you're just there and they just come and clean, is because they pay them by the hour. So they're paying them $15 or $18 an hour to just go clean all the units, which will make it easier for them to make sure that the unit is clean once you check out. So they're constantly cleaning the units, which we can't do because we don't have 40 units in the same apartment complex. So
I
we have to
see.
pay per cleaning, which makes it a lot more expensive to run compared to a hotel.
I got you. That's genius. And then the hotels sometimes, have free breakfast and sauna and pool,
That's
and then
that's
you get
where
all
they
the
that
amenities.
and that's where they make their money, honestly, is like that's why you see like a little restaurant downstairs because they make that money by selling you extra things at the hotel, so they're profiting a lot more than an Airbnb because they have all these extra stuff that they can keep selling to you. So at my Airbnbs, one thing that I do is I have extra things that I sell at my Airbnbs. We sell, we have like a movie box that we sell for like $25, and it's basically like snacks and juice or whatever the hell we want to put in there, cookies and chocolates or whatever, and people buy it. Because they're lazy and they don't want to go out and they just want the movie box and they just send us $25 and then they have snacks.
Easy enough.
Yep.
Convenience. People pay for convenience.
Exactly.
Always. That's a very, different perspective. I could never have even considered people arbitraging hotels, but
Yeah.
now that you bring it up, I mean, that's a pretty good idea.
Yeah,
Even
I
if,
mean it's hard for the hotel to approve it, but I've seen it like in Phoenix. If you go on Airbnb and go to Phoenix, Arizona, and this I learned this through creating my course because I was doing market research.
okay,
And in a video of mine in the course, I'm actually doing the video and I'm like, what the hell is this? And I stumbled across this method that people are literally arbitraging hotel rooms. And I was like, that is the craziest thing ever. But it makes sense because if the hotel can guarantee their occupancy, even if it's not booked or not, they can guarantee that it's going to be occupied and they can pay their cleaning staff and their whole operation. It makes sense.
it definitely would make sense. And then
Yep.
would you be able to, I guess you could probably find a specific chain maybe that you could target. Like if you could talk to corporate at, let's say, like a Holiday Inn or like a Holiday Inn Express, even one of
Yeah,
those kind of chains, if you could get into, maybe like 20 or 30 of them to test the
exactly.
water. And they're already furnished too.
They're already furnished. Everything is good. You just have to manage it and then you guarantee their rent. So you say, hey, how much do you guys make off of this room on average? Well, we make, $2,000 a month off of this room. Okay, well, I'll guarantee you guys whatever amount. And then you do your market research, you try it out and see, okay, within a month, if you profit or if you make $3,000, you're making $500 off of that unit, just off of that. It's already furnished everything. So it's about scale. So this person that I found out in Phoenix that was doing this had about 1,000 other rooms that they were doing this on. So think about that. So it's just a huge scale that they're doing this at.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy. And I guess at that point, as long as the numbers work, even if you're like missing on a few of them, if you can just, do thousands and thousands.
Yeah, it's just it's crazy, and then the prices were ridiculous. I mean, they were like $400 for the room, and they were booked like pretty solid. It was literally like the only Airbnbs in downtown Phoenix, Arizona. So I was like, these whatever these people are doing, they're crushing it.
So maybe okay, so in Chicago, I believe that you're not allowed to Airbnb maybe, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
no, yeah, you're not. There's several regulations against Airbnb in Chicago. You can Airbnb, but it has to be longer than 30 days.
Okay. So would this hotel room be able like be a workaround of any of those stipulations or
It could be. I'm not sure. I mean, it is a hotel, so I'm not sure if you're doing it under them, it qualifies. I have no clue. Again, I found this method out while I was doing my course, and I thought it was super interesting, but I didn't even look into it more. But you could look into it and see if an attorney, if you live in a place where they don't allow Airbnbs for less than 30 days, you could see if the attorney, if they think that that's under the law and you get approved, then that could be a workaround or a loophole against that regulation.
interesting? That's just a very I don't know. It doesn't necessarily apply to Salt Lake, but it would apply
Yeah.
to my market.
Yeah, and California as well. There's different markets that are super regulated, and that could be a workaround. I'm not sure how they're doing it or how they got approved, but I thought it was super interesting.
Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And now, with all of the Airbnbs that you've gotten, have you ever had an issue where, let's say, like your lease is up, and then you have all of this furniture, and you don't have a new unit to put it in?
No, luckily we haven't gotten into that issue, but it is a common thing, and that's one thing that gurus don't talk about because they don't want to talk about the shitty things that happen.
Yeah.
But it could happen, so we just recently went through a building buyout. So the building that we were at, new owners just came in from California actually and bought the building, and they basically kind of told us that we were not allowed to do what we were doing.
Hmm.
Luckily, we have signed documentation that obviously the previous management was allowing us, and luckily our leases were still good. But our leases do renew next year around March and June. So hopefully we've created a good environment and good relationship with them, and they see that we're not doing anything crazy.
Yeah.
And that's very important as well. It's just creating a good relationship with either your homeowner, management, or whoever it is.
Okay.
Take them a gift every once in a while and make sure they're happy,
Hmm.
because they're the ones
Yeah.
that have control to kick you out once your lease is over.
That's very smart.
Yep.
And do you have an exit strategy anytime soon with the Airbnb business?
Not at all. Right now, honestly, it makes enough money for, I mean, it's not my main source of income. So, I mean, an extra ten to $25,000 a month is just, it's amazing. We don't put a lot of time and effort into it. We have management in place to take care of all the issues and cleaners and all that stuff. So, all this management is internal. So we hire personal people to do all of this, because if we hired a management company, they would take like 30%. So we
Okay.
do everything ourselves. But it hasn't caused any issues for me to want to exit. Maybe down the road we might want to do it, but at the moment it's not a lot of work for the money that it produces.
When you're hiring people, what do you look for?
Um, we honestly, well, me personally, I look for people that are hard workers, which is hard to find. But if I don't know if they're hard workers or not, I look at how they present themselves when they speak with me. If they're confident and I feel that I can connect with them,
Yeah.
I am more interested than a person that is super qualified. So I've had to hire and fire multiple people during my career at the insurance industry and in the Airbnb business. And one thing that I've seen the most is honestly the people that are loyal to you but aren't as qualified are harder workers than the people that are super qualified. And so I look for a mix of both.
Okay. That's very good. Very good answer. I like that.
Yeah.
It's hard sometimes, finding good people, but once you find good people, you want to definitely make sure, they stick around.
Yeah, I pay my employees very well, because of that, because it's very hard to replace someone that is very good.
That's true. And it's a peace of mind thing also.
Yep.
Not that I have employees on my repair side of the business, but it's like I still invest in good quality stuff, parts, oils, equipment, all that stuff, because I just don't want to, be like, oh man, like I don't want to go back to them because, it's peace of mind, really.
Yeah. No, for sure. It really helps out. I mean, I was in California for 2 weeks and everything ran perfectly. And the 2 weeks before that, I was in Mexico for a week. So, and nothing fell apart. I probably had to work in Mexico for a couple hours. And then in California, I worked, maybe like 2 hours a day or an hour a day, and everything was fine.
That's nice. I'm glad that
Yeah.
you get to travel like that. What part of Mexico are you from?
I'm from a place called Chapala, Jalisco. It's like an Americanized town. There's a lot of Canadians and Americans down there in Chapala specifically.
And that's in the state of Jalisco.
Jalisco, yeah.
Huh. Does I believe Jim Riley, if I'm not mistaken, has a ranch down there for his tequila company.
Yeah, so tequila is made in Jalisco.
Yeah, that's what
If
I thought.
if it if it's not made in if tequila is not made in Jalisco, it can't be called tequila.
What would it then be called?
Um, there's not a specific like name to it, but some people call it's something similar to mezcal is what
Okay.
they call it. Is mezcal is a little bit differently made, like mezcal is different, but yeah, it has to be made in Jalisco to be called tequila. That they have like a trademark over the name.
Interesting. Interesting. Huh. Would you ever move back to Mexico?
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something that I would love to do, but you definitely need to have money to have a good lifestyle. A lot less money than you need here in the States, right?
Yeah.
But I don't want to be worried for my safety. I want to have security in place and make sure that I feel safe because there are those risks that, you get kidnapped or something if you have money. So you have to make sure that you're protected if you live down there. If you're just going on vacation, it's fine. But once you live in a specific spot and people start noticing you coming in and out and people start knowing who you are, then it's definitely good to have some type of security in place.
Definitely. Yeah, you gotta get a little bit of a compound going.
Yeah, definitely. Or some type of like maybe gated community or something that is a little bit more protected or reserved.
Yeah, that would be nice though. I've heard it's kind of a little bit of a different lifestyle down there, a little more relaxed.
Very different, and I really enjoy it. This last time that I went to Mexico, I really had a good time, especially now going back with money. It's a whole different ball game. Like you really live life at a different level.
Well, that's incredible. I'm glad that you're, able to have these experiences, and I can only wait to see what the future brings to you. This is about all the time we have left for today, though, Stephen. I appreciate you coming on a lot, and thanks for spending some time with me today, chatting.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting.
Yeah, of course. You have a nice day, Steve. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you too, man.
Bye.
See ya.